Every normal, sane human being will have regret. Hello, today is November 27th, 2020, and the time is 12:49 p.m. Regret. This is something that people who live for the moment, or another term used, live for the day, don't consider. People say or do things that they don't really think about, say for example, consequences. And even if they do, they don't consider looking back on whatever they say or do down the road. And there's a lot of mental gymnastics that go on justifying what someone might say or do. And they never think about the day when they might have regret. And chances are there will be regret. Not one person will go through life and come to a point where they won't have regret of something. And this is about any topic. People don't think that far ahead. It's been so socially conditioned through liberal ideologies to live for the moment, live for today, live for the day. No one ever thinks about down the road. And it could be moments after, when the mental gymnastics to justify whatever it is has faded. It could be a week, it could be a year, it could be 10 years. But guaranteed, none of us are coming out of this world alive. And it's those moments just prior when people realize regret. And it's unfortunate because that regret could have been avoided. And the impact of, say, someone's actions or words at the time could have been avoided, which had impacted another life. Maybe something you said that had brought someone down. Maybe it's something that you did. It doesn't even have to be physical. It could be something, even calling bylaw enforcement to give someone a ticket that doesn't exist simply because you have an issue with something that has nothing to do with that person, because you're frustrated with something else that this innocent person who's getting ticketed has nothing to do with, and the ticket's all made up. You know, maybe somebody in that neighborhood has a newborn and the whole world revolves around that newborn being woken up by just common traffic. And the person who's getting imposed on by a ticket that has nothing to do with them, they're just these people retaliating against all sorts of innocent people, say parking on a street, because they only care about themselves. They don't see the consequences. And even if there was an issue, leave a note on the windshield instead of a ticket saying, hey, have some dialogue. Now imagine if there was an opportunity that one of the homeowners in this example had an opportunity to talk to someone who got a ticket, and the homeowner was talking about having a vehicle towed when it's perfectly lawful to park there. And the person starts to realize that this person that's being threatened has nothing to do with it. For one thing, they already realized that. But the consequences of financial consequences of having to deal with something like that. And then they start to realize this is a human being. most people don't take that opportunity. And do you think these people would have any regret? No, because the mental gymnastics, they've convinced themselves, oh, I'm justified. And most of these mental gymnastics justified actions or words pass. Eventually, if it's not something long term, it's forgotten about. But it's always going to be there. People do things and say things without thinking. Part of it has to do with the social conditioning of a lack of respect. And in today's world, everything being about self, about personal ego, feelings. People don't think about the consequences their actions or words has on someone else. So my point to that is, don't go through life creating events that will lead to regret. And again, somebody might say today, I have no regret of anything that I said or did. But when they look back, at some point, they will have regret. And all the mental gymnastics won't save them, nor will it help the person that they impacted through whatever they said or did. And the ripple effect that has. Because whatever we say or do has consequences not only for that individual, but it also has consequences for people in that individual's lives. It's a chain reaction. But people don't think that far ahead. They're more concerned about their ego or trying to preserve a perceived, whether it be real or perceived, greater good. Consider the nightmare that I lived through for over 7 years, and I'm still living in the aftermath of it. It's not only impacted my life, but everyone's lives around me. In the aftermath that I'm living through, for what? Because no one could accept they were wrong. They have to maintain this illusion of public image or something, maybe their own egos, because I stood up against the corruption. A fight for truth and justice, not just for myself, but everyone else. The fact that I filed complaints and made this known to the public, the corruption. Again, it's ego. And they just have to blame somebody, so blame the innocent person, because innocent people are the ones that have the hardest time to prove their innocence. How do you prove a crime, that you're innocent of a crime, when no crime has been committed? Well, that's the challenge. We see so many other examples of innocent people having so much injustice imposed on them over nothing. Months ago, somebody was shot and killed for not wearing a mask. And that's a different tangent. There was a case recently out of my home province wherein a mother had alleged the father kidnapped his own child. For one, you cannot kidnap your own child. We don't know the dynamics. We know that the family law is all dominated by feminist narratives. We don't know, was he trying to save the child from a mother who's on drugs, or was it just a bad mother in general? We don't know. It was just simple for her to call the police saying my son was kidnapped, and the father allegedly had a weapon, and 3 police officers unloaded into the vehicle. The father survived. The young boy, he died. Again. Over what? Who's going to be living with that regret? The 3 police officers doing mental gymnastics. I was just doing my job. The police services of that region. This is what we're trained to do. Everyone doing all these mental gymnastics. The mother wanting to get revenge against the father. Is she going to regret this down the road? Is the father going to look back and regret something? Now, we don't know the dynamics of that, and we'll never know the truth. We'll hear official stories, as we always do. But there's a whole series of events. The child's life is gone over what? It couldn't have been resolved at some later point. Well, we have ego stepping in. How dare you not obey us? And one of the biggest reasons why the system overall, whether it be law enforcement, law, judicial, politics, government, allow these types of events to happen and with no repercussions, is not only to protect themselves with lawsuits or any liability or anything, but it sends a message to everyone else. We have the monopoly on violence. We will exercise our right, our own self-given right, to impose violence and be no repercussions. That's the real message being sent out. The message of fear. Someday, at some point, if not when they're laying in bed at night in their own mind, whether they have a spouse with them, beside them, or family, when they're laying in bed at night just before they fall asleep, the real them comes out. Some regret, but guaranteed, when you're getting close to dying, maybe of old age or whatever, you'll have regret of something. I'm not picking on the police in this example. It's just an example. Now think about the chain reaction of this one example of everyone's lives impacted, not just the people involved, like the father, the mother, the 3 officers. I mean, there's the impact something like this has on the people, peripheral people in their lives. Nothing good ever comes out of not thinking things through and doing the right thing. Doing the right thing by omitting mental gymnastics. If you have to do mental gymnastics, really consider what you say or do. But again, most people just putter through life, not thinking about the consequences, diverting responsibility, taking out their frustrations on an innocent person. So just think about what you say and do. Don't live for the moment. A lot of people say, oh, live for the moment. Don't do it. Think about things. Think things through. Things to think about. No pun intended. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.